The string is so important. It's the first thing you interact with before your pickups, your tone controls, your pedals, your amp. In fact, to make any sound whatsoever, you have to manipulate the string first. Strings are without a doubt the easiest and most inexpensive way to change the tone and feel of your bass, so why haven't we as bass players checked out all the options available to us? Different brands, gauges, materials, flats, rounds, steel, nickel, etc. It's easy to get complacent with something that's always worked on your bass, but how do you know that there isn't something better out there? That's why I am here. I'm gonna do the work. We're gonna go through 8 types of strings that Dunlop offers with 9 classic basses that I really think suit each string type. And I'm excited because even though I've been a Dunlop user for about 7 years now, even I haven't experimented with all the strings they offer, so this is going to be illuminating for me as well. So, are you ready to get nerdy? Good, me too. Let's go. Featuring warm fundamental and punchy mids, this is Dunlop's flagship classic nickel round wound string. And let's check them out on my 78 P bass. With a pick, I mean, right away, I'm like, what else do you want from a string? These strings sound awesome on this P bass. They're super balanced. They have all of the sounds that you want in the bottom, mids, top, slap test. I feel like they passed the slap test. Really nice and even all the way. I put these on and the strings I was using, I'm never gonna put back on this bass. So who are these strings for? I really think they're for anybody that wants a nice balanced set of nickel rounds that have a medium tension. This is the standard round wound string, but in stainless steel. Now, stainless strings are just a touch brighter than their nickel counterparts, but I think retain a lot of that really nice focus in the mid-range and bottom end as nickel strings. I think the biggest difference between stainless and nickel is that stainless are like grippier. They have more of like that. They have more like edge and grit on their ridges because of the material. You hear this, and some players really like that. I mean, you get all this clarity and aggression sort of like pushed in your face. They slap really well. Awesome string. Let's hear them on my 78 jazz bass. With a pick. This string is mean. Actually, it really just makes me want to slap it. Like, I really think it has a nice, just this nice, almost natural compression and grind in the top. So who is it for? I mean, obviously you can put this set of strings on any bass you want, play any kind of music, but I think these are really well suited for doing extended techniques, playing stuff that brings out the top end of the bass, something with slapping, something with pick playing, drive. So aggressive music. Did you know that Dunlop actually manufactures their own strings? Why? Why make your own strings? It's so hard. A lot of other companies just have one of the big major string manufacturers do it and slap their logo on it. But you have to understand something about Dunlop. This is a company started in 1965 by a Scottish immigrant, Jim Dunlop, and now is run by his son Jimmy, who, when I asked why he'll sometimes go through more than 30 iterations on a single pick design, he looked me right in the eye and said, "Because we make paintbrushes for Picasso." And it is that attitude that rolls out into everything they do. I mean, it's the reason I can't get away from the greatest pick on earth, the Dunlop Gator Grip 96, but that's another video entirely. So Dunlop was smart, and they hired great engineers and bass players that care deeply about these strings, and I saw that with my own two eyes when I took a trip out to the factory. These guys are actually combining attributes of what they love about the classic string brands by experimenting with metal materials, core size, inner wraps, outer wraps, the angle of those wraps, and even their own proprietary ball end. And through all of this experimentation, they discovered that they could properly tension and EQ a string to get exactly what they wanted in terms of feel and tone. And it is precisely this company structure and process that sets Dunlop Strings apart. I absolutely love this next set of strings. I have been a nickel Super Bright user for about the last 7 years. I love them when they're new. I like them after a long time and they lose some of their top end. They still retain this clarity and bounce. I think my favorite thing about these strings is their slightly lower tension, right? So you can play them really tight, but if you want to snap them, right? They just give you back what you put in, which I really love. So anything like this B string is from the tapered set. Man, that B string sounds huge. I mean, this is a really nice bass. This is a Lull V5, but if I remove the electronics from the equation, right? Like, and I just play this B string into this microphone right here. Check this out. Like, even when the bass isn't on, oh, you still hear the like, the like low B that's happening, right? Oh, turn it back on. I love these strings so much. All right, let's check them out with some drums. Yes, I mean, I just want to be really dynamic with these strings. You know, sometimes I want to play them here. And then I want to go like, because they like bounce back at you. This has really become my favorite round wound string over the years. I've had them on countless basses, countless years, right? Countless gigs and tours. They break in so beautifully. Like I said before, I love how they sound even when they die and like break in, because they still have that same sort of supple buoyancy in their feel. They always are going to bounce back to you even when they lose some of that brightness being on your bass for a long time. This is the Super Bright recipe, but in stainless steel. I put a set of these on my MTD serial number 88 to enhance the character of this bass. Bright top, big bottom, modern active thing, focused mids. Let's check it out with some drums. These strings are a perfect complement to this bass, right? All I'm doing is boosting the top and bottom a little bit to bring out the character of an MTD. And I mean, the B string again, it's awesome. Let's do it, right? Let's turn off the bass and let's hear it in the microphone. You hear the fundamental even through this. I love that. Right? Turn the bass on. And there's something about stainless steel on active basses that I like. I like to lean in to the top instead of trying to mellow it out. Why not let this bass do what it wants to do? So again, with stainless steel, these strings are for bass players that don't mind the sort of like gritty feel of stainless on the fingers and want their bass to cut through in the top end. Now, when Marcus Miller approached Dunlop to craft his signature string, he had a clear vision of growl and urgency that he wanted built into the strings. Luckily, Dunlop had been working on the Super Brights, and they were able to custom tailor the steels to suit Mr. Miller. These strings crush. And yes, we have to slap the bass on a 70s jazz, ash, maple, stainless steel strings. Let's go. I mean, these strings are so much fun to slap. Listen to that. They really reward you. It's that Super Bright thing giving you that bounce, the steel, the like raw aggression of the steel. Now, of course, you don't have to slap the strings, but I find that a technique like that, or maybe even something like playing with a pick, that illuminates the high end is a really nice way to hear a string. But of course, they can be super mellow too. Roll the tone back, neck pickup. But there's still that sort of like raw thing to steel strings that just sort of wants to come out. And I find that when I have steel strings on, I kind of want to hit them to hear that glorious top end. So look, they're not just for like slapping like Marcus Miller, right? These strings are for anybody that wants that supple feel of Super Brights, but with that kind of tweaked formula for a little bit more like raw energy and aggression in the top. And I mean, if you like to slap, I don't know if there's a better string. Now, when Robert Trujillo needed a signature string, he needed something that would stand out and cut through in one of the biggest bands and in the biggest venues on the planet. Robert strings are available in nickel and stainless steel. I have the nickel set here on my 1992 Warwick Streamer Stage 2. And to me, these strings are just a touch more taut than the Super Brights, but still offer that rebound and snap with just a little more aggression. Now look, I know they're Robert strings, but when I play these strings on this Warwick, it makes me want to hit do that thing that Robert does, right? Like coming down on the string instead of just pulling through the string. Very polite. They sound really nice doing that as well. And not a slap. They sound really nice for that as well. But this technique of actually like swinging through the string and not like pulling through really hard, but actually taking your finger and hitting the string and letting it go through. And I don't usually play that way, but these strings are really making me want to play that way. You can play any genre of music on any set of bass strings, obviously, but these lean me to that smash and grab on the strings. I love the sound of these strings, especially on this active bass. Check them out. And now it is time for another string that I absolutely adore, the Dunlop Hybrids. And by hybrids, of course, I'm referring to the dual dynamic layered twin alloy hybrid nickel over stainless steel bass strings. The idea behind these strings was to balance the inner wrap tone of steel with the outer wrap feel of nickel. I love them. I've been using them ever since they came out. Let's check them out on my 77 Stingray. these strings are so fun to play. I don't know. I mean, I really do believe that they combine that sound of steel with the feel of nickel, right? They're a little bit more taut than the super brights. They're not quite as flexible. So that kind of gives me the steel vibe, and they have top end forever. I mean, especially if I crank the Stingray, wow, so much top end, right? But if you dim that back, you kind of rein that in a bit here with the treble control, and then they just have that beautiful sort of buttery feel that I happen to love about nickels. And it kind of makes me want to play a little bit more mellow, actually. I actually feel like this is an excellent all-purpose string. I've had these strings on a bunch of different basses. They're really versatile. Of course, they give you that supple nickel feel, a little bit more taut than the super brights because they've got that steel inner wrap, and I'm into it. Best of both worlds. And finally, we have the lovely Dunlop flats. Now, these took years and many iterations to get absolutely perfect. Guys like Tim LaFave and Michael League weighed in on these and helped perfect this incredible flatwound string that seems to straddle old school warmth, yet new school flatwound clarity. And I'll show you what I mean. I have a brand new set on my 65 P bass, and if I play this with a pick, they don't sound like rounds, but they have that like gonk and articulation that leans round wound until you palm mute them. If you palm mute and play flat with the pick, sound like flat wounds. Now again, if you play them wide open with fingers, they have a little bit more clarity than a typical broken in flat wound, but say you roll the tone back a touch and play in front of the cover, total vintage flat wound vibe. And I really like that because your hands then get to choose the character of the flats. Now, before we hear this with drums, check this out. I have another bass down here that has had a set of these flats on for a year, and it would be criminal not to show you the difference. Okay, so here is my 66 Mustang bass. Now, this has had this set of flats on for maybe a year, maybe even a little over a year. And they've just mellowed out. I love the sound of a pick hitting flat wound strings straight down, Carol K style with a little bit of palm muting. It's one of my favorite sounds ever. Fingers. We are back to the 65 P bass. Let's hear these strings with some drums, pick and fingers. Let's do the same thing on the Mustang with the old flats. Just such a great vibe. Again, they sound awesome when they're new, and I love how they sound. They seem to keep getting better as they break in. That was a lot of strings on a lot of basses. And please, in the comments below, let us know if there was a particular string type or string and bass combo that stood out to you the most. What would work for your playing? What inspired you to try something new? Please be sure to go to jimdunlop.com for more info and to grab a few sets for yourself. I have been Ian Martin Allison. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.